everybody. It's the Van Show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now today we have a very special guest. We have Wendy, Hinote, Lanier. Say hello, Wendy.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, we're doing great. Thank you very much for asking.
Oh,
First of all,
well.
I got to be polite here.
Yes.
Now, we want to know a little bit about you.
Okay.
So we'll start off with, tell us where you're from.
I grew up in Port Neches, Texas. That's in southeast Texas. And I currently live in Lindale, Texas.
All right, so do you got any pets?
Oh, I do have pets. I currently have two dogs, Penny and Piper, and they're little dogs. We've had Dalmatians in the past, and we've had a rescue that was rescued during a hurricane.
Whoa.
And she was a lab mix, and she had to have a leg removed. So I had a three-legged lab at one point.
Wow.
And I had a rat terrier mix, but currently I have a little dachshund mix and a little Jack Russell mix.
So now we didn't just come here to talk about the dogs, although I really could.
We could do that all day and I'd be happy, yeah.
We want to talk about writing.
Okay.
It's a writing show.
Okay.
We bring on writers, or as sometimes we say, authors.
Yes. Okay.
And now you're a particular type of author because you're a nonfiction author, right?
A lot of the work I've done is nonfiction, yes.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pigeonhole you there.
Yeah, well, I've been writing since I was in the third grade.
Well, that was going to be my first question was how long ago did you start writing?
When I was in the third grade, I started keeping a notebook, and I had poems and fictional stories, and I always enjoyed writing reports. I didn't mind doing that. So I've done nonfiction and fiction pretty much since I was in the third grade.
Wow. And was there anybody who was encouraging to you, who saw your writing and saw at least your passion for writing and kind of kept you going with it?
I was fortunate in school, starting pretty early on. The teachers saw that I wrote, and they encouraged me in that. And somewhere around the 7th, maybe 9th grade, they recommended me for advanced English, and because I wasn't in any other advanced classes, but they put me in advanced English, and that was a lot of writing, and I did that all through high school. And we also, in our high school, we had a literary magazine.
Oh.
Not a lot of high schools have that, but we had a literary magazine, and I not only wrote for it, but I was also on the staff for that.
Wow.
So I've been doing that all through school, but after I got out of college, I was teaching school. When you're teaching, you don't have a lot of time for writing.
Yep.
So I did a few things, but not a lot. But I got my first rejection slip when I was 12.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I hear when you say that is that I was brave enough at 12 years old to submit my work to a publisher.
Well, you know what the cool thing was? I actually still have that rejection slip. It has a handwritten note on the back.
Oh.
And it says, there is nothing wrong with this, or something like this is perfect, but I just bought something just like it. Now, what I didn't know at the time was that a handwritten note is like gold. If I had known what I know now, I probably would have pursued that writing a little earlier on. But I did. I could have, if I'd have sent it in maybe 6 weeks earlier, I might have sold it. I might have been able to stand here all these years later and tell you I sold my first short story at 12. But
I want to talk about the nonfiction stuff.
Okay.
Because we get a lot of fiction authors on here,
I'm sure you do.
but not a ton of nonfiction. Not to say we don't, but we not as much.
Right.
And it's interesting because it's still a very creative process, but it's a very different process.
Yes.
Can you kind of talk about what it's like to write a nonfiction book, and like where that idea comes from, and then how you pursue it and finally make a book out of it?
Well, there's a couple of avenues for this. One is to take on assignments, and I've done a lot of that. And in that case, I don't have to come up with the topic. I'm assigned that topic, and I treat it a lot like a research paper.
Oh.
I just start getting out there and finding out about it. And sometimes that is just on the computer or looking through books. But I wrote a book on dirt bikes.
Ooh.
So it just so happens that very near my house, I have a dirt bike track, competitive. And I went there and spent the afternoon and watched the races, had a great time.
Wow.
And it gave me a lot of information and just a feel for what the whole, how it felt, and the sounds and those kinds of things. So occasionally I get to do field trips associated with my research.
That's really cool, and you get to talk to the people who are actually involved with the thing.
Exactly. Now, I also have nonfiction projects that are just mine, and a lot of times those are things that just capture my attention, things that I'm interested in. because I guess because I've taught school and because maybe I'm a kid at heart, a lot of times if it interests me, it's going to interest a kid too.
Yes.
So.
And that's something we talk to about with fiction authors.
Yeah.
Is that when they're writing for themselves and not really writing thinking, well, I hope a kid's gonna like this, or like I think kids are gonna like this new TikTok thing or whatever it is. Like, they're just writing for themselves. The best stuff comes out that way.
I agree. If you're trying to please kids right off the bat, you're probably not going to be successful.
Nope. And whatever you guess kids are gonna like, you're gonna be wrong.
That's possible.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, you brought a book with you here today.
Yes, I did, but this one's not nonfiction.
No.
But it has a nonfiction element.
Well, tell us about it.
Okay, this is a STEM title. Do you know what STEM is?
Science, technology, engineering, and monkeys. No, and
starts with an M.
moving trucks.
No.
Math.
Math.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. This is a STEM title because it has a math component to it.
Ooh.
It's called Too Many Pigs in the Pool.
And so you count the pigs in the pool?
Well, you start off with just one pig, but the next day there are 2.
Oh.
And the next day there are 4. And what happens is each day there are double the number of pigs.
Oh my goodness.
By the end of the book, there are too many pigs in the pool.
And I imagine that happens pretty quickly.
Well, and something sort of catastrophic happens toward the end of the book, as you can imagine.
Well, so now in the research for this, I imagine you gathered 100 pigs and you had to put them in a pool one at a time.
I didn't. Actually, the idea for this book came from a friend who is a rice farmer. She and her husband are rice farmers, and she had a friend. They had a good crop. They had put in a pool. After they put it in the pool one day, the pigs got loose.
Uh-oh.
And they were all out in the pool. And she said one of the kids stopped and yelled, "Mom, there's too many pigs in the pool." And she's telling me this story, and I just loved the way that tripped off my tongue.
Yeah.
And so I started playing around with the idea of too many pigs in the pool. And so this book has number doubles, and it also has days of the week. So you can use this in a kindergarten classroom, but you could also use it in 2nd and 3rd and 4th grade even to introduce sequencing or in the beginning of multiplication, those kinds of things.
That's brilliant. That's what they call multi-layering.
Yes, exactly. Well, as a former teacher, I'm probably never going to write a book that is only fun. There's always going to be a learning element there somewhere.
So would you like to play a game with me?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so the game I like to play is called, hold on, let me get dramatic. Truth or Dare.
Okay.
Have you ever played Truth or Dare?
I have.
All right, so you know how this works.
Yeah.
So I will ask you, do you pick Truth or do you pick Dare?
I'm not sure I trust you enough to do Dare, so I better take Truth.
Well. I like how everybody's got a different idea of what's the scariest part of this game.
That's probably true, yeah.
Very interesting. All right, so we'll go with Truth. Let's see. Oh, I got one. Have you ever lied?
I must confess I have.
Do you have a story behind this?
Well, yeah. I don't make a habit of it, and I wasn't raised to do that. I was raised, you always tell the truth, even if it gets you in trouble. But my dad was a shift worker, and he had a room in our detached garage in which he slept when he came in from a late shift.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot he was in there, and I was playing tennis up against the door, and I woke him up.
Uh-oh.
But I didn't want to admit that, so I lied and said I didn't do it, my friend did it.
Well, now, hold on, though.
Yeah, I know. There's a whole nother level to that, isn't there? I not only lied, I got somebody else in trouble.
Well, but you got to think about it like this. You know, your friend getting in trouble with your dad is a little different than you getting in trouble with your dad.
Oh, it's a whole lot different. And actually, my dad was fine with it, but my mother knew I lied. You know, moms always know, right?
Now, did she tell Dad?
No, she just waited until it ate at me until I confessed, and I did.
See, that's good parenting.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I did eventually confess, and I did I got a spanking for it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But I imagine.
I deserved it.
Yeah. Did you
You know?
feel like that at the time?
Oh, I felt terrible. I mean, I had to go and apologize to my friend and say, I'm so sorry. I panicked,
Yeah.
I felt terrible because I knew I shouldn't wake up my dad. I mean, I didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
But I felt terrible. So I should never have lied, but I did.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun for me too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.